intensity white lights that were indented into the forward section of the vehicle. The aft of the craft, which was elliptical in shape, they had this strange notch cutout that you can see in this newspaper clipping here. But then again, I want to stress this, Carrie, is we're beginning to see a pattern recognition. He said, according to the eyewitness, he said that the bottom had pipes, tubes, and cylinders sticking out of it. And this is his quote: the bottom was comprised of plumbing and stuff like car exhaust and silencers. Very interesting. A few minutes later, this thing departed to the east out of his field of view. So, number one, we have the same pipes, tubes, and cylinders reported in the Hudson Valley Boomerang. Now we're seeing it in a craft that was seen in 1994 in England. So we're beginning to see this pattern, Carrie. And if you go to number 4, this is my illustration of what I determined that this thing looked like per the actual newspaper clipping, Carrie.
Okay, because I'm opening the live stream, I'm not able to look at this photo right this second, but I'm going to take your word for it.
Okay.
Go right ahead, and hopefully other people are being able to download out of my public folder the other photos as we go here, so that they can follow along. Again, any assistance in posting these in a general page somewhere, just please do so and help us out. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so number 5 is reported in the Burton Daily Mail, March 3rd, 1995. So 5 is the actual newspaper clipping on this sighting. Now, this gentleman was going to work early in the morning. He was on a motorcycle, and all of a sudden his motorcycle sputtered out, so he pulled over to the side of the road. He could not restart his motorcycle. The next thing he knew, Carrie, he was bathed in a high-intensity white light, and he looked up and saw this gigantic square hovering about 30 feet above him. And this is now on illustration number 6. You can see the illustration of the square. And on the bottom of the square, there was multiple white lights, and then this same pipes, tubes, and cylinders structure on the bottom of this thing. About 30 seconds later, this strange square pulled off to the side, and the guy who was on the motorcycle determined that it wasn't a square at all. He was looking at the bottom of a pyramid, and then this thing slowly went away, Carrie. But the problem is, it left his motorcycle completely disabled, and he had to walk this motorcycle 3 miles back to his house, a very long walk. Researchers who eventually caught up with him about 2 weeks later interviewed him about this. And one of these researchers just got this strange urge to pull out a metallic Zippo lighter. And when he put the lighter near the gas tank of his motorcycle, Carrie, the whole motorcycle was magnetized, and it pulled this lighter out of this guy's hand and shot right to the gas tank.
Incredible. When was this exactly?
This was reported on the Burton Daily Mail, March 3rd, 1995.
Wow.
They don't give a date for the case, but it's a legitimate case. There were other cases similar to this reported as well. But in this case, I mean, there was physical evidence. The guy's motorcycle stalled out. The whole motorcycle was magnetized. Very interesting case. Very interesting.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out, okay. So this was a pyramid-shaped UFO, though, because that's very interesting, because we don't get that many reports of those kinds of UFOs, but they have been more common lately, I think, than they were for many, many years.
Correct. That's correct, Carrie.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so we'll move on now to a very interesting case. This is illustration number 7 and illustration number 8. This is February 3rd, 1983, Mobile, Alabama. A lady was returning from visiting a group of friends. She was about 90 minutes from her home when all of a sudden she heard this massive booming noise, and her car began to rock and shake, and so she pulled off to the side, stopped her vehicle. She got out of her car, and then she looked under the car because she thought that, maybe her transmission fell out or something. Well, that turned out to be okay. She got back into her car,
Okay, we're going to go to a commercial. We'll be right back with Michael Schratt and continue with his explanation of these photos. Thank you.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back. The Empire is in peril.
You're probably too young to know that the Empire is always in some kind of peril. I may have been overly rude I called you a pirate.
I may have been overly charitable when I said I wasn't.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Be here Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to catch Roxy Lopez straight from the Valley of the Sun. Her discussions run from chemtrails to sovereignty, aliens to conspiracy facts. So join us for The Truth Denied with Roxy Lopez. Again, that's Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
You're going to get tired of being wrong. Come to the future. You know what the difference is between you and me?
I make this look good. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, Freedom's Flips 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Okay, this is Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot with Whistleblower Radio. We're talking to Michael Schratt. Okay, we are, I'm sorry, this is Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot, Whistleblower Radio. Got too much things going on here trying to get these photos so people can see them because our site has obviously crashed or been attacked or whatever. I guess they didn't want this to be so easy for people. But now the package should be going out there via my Dropbox, and I believe Revolution has also got a copy, so hopefully it will be posted at various places. For those of you that are interested and want to see it on live stream, I am now broadcasting, I believe, on live stream, and you should be able to see these photos on the live stream right now as we go through them one at a time. Michael, I'm looking at a photo here, and I'm just trying to figure out if it's the right photo. It has what looks like some kind of a computer board at the bottom of it.
Yes, that's correct. You see all these multiple mirror squares on the bottom of it?
Yeah, kind of like.
Yeah.
That was
the moon is directly below it, Carrie?
Well, I don't know where the moon is in this photo, to be honest.
You should, if you go to, this is illustration 7 and 8, you should see a craft with a moon directly below it.
Okay, the pyramid was number 5, so now I just want people to be able to catch up because some people weren't able to see. And to get to our live stream channel, you can actually go to Project Camelot and click on our video interviews, and a live stream channel is linked there, but also just go to Project Camelot. Let's see, it's livestream.com/Project Camelot Live. So livestream.com/Project Camelot Live is our live stream channel. And as I say, these photos are showing up there as we speak, I believe. So we've got the pyramid right now. Number 5 and number 6 were the pyramid UFOs.
That's correct.
You were just talking about those. So now I'm going to go to number 7. I just wanted to give those photos a bit of time on the screen. Okay, so now we've got the moon right below this amazing looking, completely bizarre craft. So go right ahead.
Bizarre craft, no doubt about it. Okay, so just to follow up now, this was February 3rd, 1983, Mobile, Alabama. A woman was driving back home from visiting friends. She heard this big boom noise. Her car started shaking. She pulled off to the side of the road, got out of the car, looked under the car to see if the transmission fell out. That was okay. She got back in her car, proceeded down, and then she saw this like opening or gravel pit, and she saw this massive craft that you see here in illustrations 7 and 8. I want to, and that these are computer-generated forensic composite illustrations based on this APRO bulletin report. Now, she stated, these are her reports here, that this thing was about 70 to 80 feet high, it was 210 feet wide. It was black in color. The whole thing had these rivets on the outside exterior. She said it could have been something that was man-made. That was her, kind of a assessment of that. Now, if you look on the top, on verse 7, I'm going to start on top. She said that there was this transparent deck section on the top with very interesting humanoid-looking beings who were wearing these tight-fitting one-piece flight suits that were white in color. She said they looked to be about 5 feet 10 inches tall. Below that was another transparent section, a little bit smaller than the one above it. Now below that, you'll see this opening with a door that was closing from right to left. And she said that she got a view of the floor of this thing, and she said it looked like a black asphalt road. And as this door was closing to the left, on that left side wall, once again, we have this report of these pipes, tubes, and cylinders sticking out. So this is now the fourth time we've heard of this as well. Now, below that was another deck of humanoid-looking beings, but she said that these actually paid attention to her. The ones on top, they were completely oblivious to the eyewitness who saw this. She said, quote unquote, it looked like they were changing shift. They didn't pay attention to her at all. But the ones on the bottom actually did. The bottom surface of this craft, Terry, was a cross-shaped bottom section composed of hundreds of these 12-inch square mirrors on the bottom. This thing slowly departed her field of view, and that was this sighting. So this was February 3rd, 1983.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. I just kind of got a call from the Revolution station. Is calling in on my other line. So I don't know if we lost you there, Michael, for a moment or not. You were coming in fine for me. I'm trying to see what's going on in the chat because usually they can communicate and tell me what's going on. Ahmad, are you on the line? Are we live?
Oh yeah, we're still live. We've been joined by Hawk.
I see. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. This is an amazing craft, I have to say, Michael. And this is, explain to me, did you draw this based on the description?
I did not draw this. I used the APRO bulletin. This is the 1983 volume 32. This is where this comes from. This illustration was done by John McNeil.
Okay. All right. Well, and was it this colorful and everything?
He did everything. He did the whole thing. I provided him with the details. I mean, I can only take these things so far. I'm not the world's greatest illustrator by any means. I mean, he's certainly better than me, and I want to make sure he gets the credit for that for sure.
Okay, it looks like Nighthawk would like to say something. Go right ahead, Nighthawk.
Yeah, Carrie, I'm trying to get links to these photos. I'm getting plastered in email and in our chat room. People that want to know where the photos are, could you throw me the links, please, so I can get everybody happy?
Yeah, now, I have been posting them in. I thought I gave them already to you guys, but here's my live stream link where they can go right now and view each one at a time.
Right.
So
I have hundreds of people over here in the chat room and in my email, and I'm getting beat up, so all I need is the links.
Okay, I just typed that wrong because I'm listening to you here. So hold on one second. Let me do this /project Camelot.
Thank you very much.
Okay, That is the link. Ahmad, I pasted the links already in this chat. You should be able to get them. One says Dropbox. This is where you download from. It's a zip file, and that link, it is, I see it, I'm in the chat here with you, unless you're in a different chat, which you may be. So let me grab this link here. Are you in a different chat? Because I got Ahmad talking to me on one chat. I think maybe you're on a different chat. So let me give you on another one. Here's the live stream link, and then let me get the other link. The other link, what it is again, and I actually put it on my Facebook page as well, so it is there. It is a link to what's called Dropbox, and Dropbox is a place where you can go download, go into my public folder, click on that link, and you should see the public folder. You should be able to click into it and see the Michael Schratt photos labeled as a folder, and then just double click, and they should start downloading into your desktop. That should be for anyone who wants those photos, including yourself. Okay, so you should have both those links. The actual link that was on our website is still on the website if the website allows you to access it, but I don't know. So hopefully. Okay, great. Okay, sounds like he got that. So again, I urge Ahmad Painter, if you could take the live stream link and post that, because we are live on live stream right now, I believe, and the photos are live. Sorry for the technical details here and the trouble. I know people want to see these photos, and we are getting them out there. Don't worry, they will be available even after the show, and you'll be able to listen again to the show. So all of this is going to be worked out. It's not a problem. So everyone just stand by. Okay, Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am here, Carrie.
Excellent. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to go and get the next photo, whatever photo you want me to get. Is it number 8?
Okay. Nope. So we're the one we just talked about. Number 9 is the next one.
Oh, so you want me to go to number 9? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and hold on one second here, because I just need to focus it. This is a great photo, by the way. Another great photo. I mean, we've got a lot of great photos here. So, okay, it's live on, I believe it's live on live stream, and I'm going to try to open another computer to see if I can make sure what people are looking at, but it should be fine. Go right ahead.
Okay, so number 9, Carrie, is the famous Mansfield, Ohio Army helicopter case of October 18th, 1973. I challenge any skeptic, anyone who's listening to this radio broadcast, this transmission, I challenge any skeptic to debunk this case. It is ironclad. It cannot be debunked. I challenge anyone to try to rip this case apart. Now, the background is this was October 18th, 1973, Mansfield, Ohio. They were on a nighttime training mission. There were 4 crew members on a U.S. Army Reserve UH-1 Huey helicopter. One of the crew members saw a red light approaching at a very high rate of speed. They estimated it to be about 700 mile an hour closure rate. So the pilot, thinking quickly, decided to take matters into his own hands, and he cut the power, put the helicopter in a dive, and started descending rapidly. At that point, this strange cigar-shaped craft, which was about 50 feet in length, it was a gunmetal gray metallic in color. It had one white light on the front and one red light on the left section of the vehicle, and there was a dome on top. It started hovering above this helicopter as it was descending. The very next second, Carrie, this cigar-shaped craft shot down a green beam of light and hit this helicopter. And when it hit the helicopter, remember, the helicopter is descending as quickly as it can to get away from this craft. When that green beam hit this helicopter, it started ascending at a rate of 1,000 feet per minute. So this guy, he cut the power, put it into a dive. Then this green beam of light hit the helicopter, and it started going up at 1,000 feet per minute. When it hit around 38 feet above the ground, there was a thump, and then this thing flew away. And ground observers saw it, Carrie. Very well documented case.
Yeah, and absolutely fascinating. Wonderful. I can't believe this is an incredible shot. The obviously the again, is it the same illustrator?
No, I did this one, and I got a little bit of help from my good friend Open Minds.
Oh wow! Okay, awesome. Well, you did
So
an amazing.
This is a joint adventure here. So.
Okay, well, wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, it's a great shot, and please continue.
Okay, we'll go on to the next one. So the next one is number 10. And number 10 is a case that occurred on January 1st of 1970. This was at the Cowichan District Hospital in Vancouver Island. This nurse's name is Doreen Kendall, and she was part of this very interesting sighting. She was a very intuitive person. And if you go to illustration number 11, that is a picture of the actual hospital that this took place in. And she noticed that her patient was getting very restless, so she took it upon herself to pull open the curtains, and when she looked out the window, the third floor here, she looked out the window and saw what you see on illustration number 12, a dish-shaped craft that was about 50 feet in diameter. It was about 70 feet away from her window, and it was tilted at about a 5-degree angle to the left, which you see here on illustration number 12. And she was just in awe at seeing this thing. This was a very interesting sighting. Now, she also was able to see there was these two beings in these black flight suits that had kind of like headdressing on. In back of these two beings that were in this transparent bubble canopy, there was these computer screens, there was these buttons, switches, dials, and levers. There were two stools inside this craft as well. And the one that was furthest away from her turned around and saw the nurse looking at these two beings in this flying saucer. When that happened, the being on the far side tapped the shoulder of the gentleman who was closer to her. Then they both turned around. The gentleman to the right, who was a little bit closer to the nurse, he pulled this lever, Carrie, and then this thing flew away at a high rate of speed. Very well documented case, Carrie.
Okay.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, and wow, this again is an incredible shot, I have to say. What a great drawing. Really fabulous. Okay, next one.
Okay, so we're going to move on to 13. I really like this next case, Carrie. It's just got some really good documents back it up. Now, this is the White Sands Missile Range case. This is on June 14th of 1949. This was a naval upper atmospheric test where they launched a rocket, and when this rocket reached a speed of 2,000 feet per second, something very interesting happened. Keep in mind, this is 1949 we're talking about here. What happened is when this missile reached 2,000 feet per second, or about 1,363 miles per hour, two 20-inch diameter metallic spheres paced it as it was going up. So there was one on the left and one on the right. That's what you see in illustration number 13. Now, after a few seconds, the one on the left dropped down below, moved over to the right, went right through the exhaust of the missile, and then joined the other sphere on the right. And then 2 seconds later, both spheres departed and left this missile way behind. So, Carrie, this thing was going 2,500 feet per second. So I asked all the listeners out there, who in 1949 could build a 20-inch diameter sphere that had no wings, no propellers, no visible means of propulsion, that could pace a rocket going 2,000 feet per second? It was tracked on multiple stations, and there were multiple eyewitnesses, sources NICAP and uninvited guests by Richard Hall. So very well documented case. Okay,
and again, it's very interesting that you're doing this, Michael, because I have to say this is a great way for people to really, look at these cases. And I know Richard Hoagland has written UFOs in the National Security State, volumes 1 and 2, and he describes and goes through the stories. And he's a very eloquent writer. it is so valuable to have these kinds of photos, where people don't have to do a lot of the legwork of visualizing whatever it is and possibly coming up with the wrong kind of visualization when it's so clearly documented in this way. So I just want to say thank you for that. It was a real brilliant idea of yours to actually approach it this way.
Well, thank you, Terry. That was my whole thrust from the very beginning of doing this 25 years ago. I mean, the idea of illustrating these obscure cases just seems so appealing to me because they've been left dead and stranded in these old files, never to see the light of day. So I thought, what better, campaign or crusade could there be than to resurrect these cases and get them out to the people? That's just exactly what I wanted to do.
Okay, we're having some interference with your speech. There's I don't know if you're too close to the mic or what happens. I don't really know because they have to explain to me what's going on there. But just maybe if you back off a little bit on your phone receiver so there's no static. But otherwise the sound is fine, and let's continue. But let me say that, researchers are really the unsung heroes of the UFO movement, and without them, we'd pretty much be dead in the water. So kudos to you, and kudos to all the researchers that spend hours and hours and hours researching information that they get and then cross-correlating and coming up with the information, in a sort of cogent form that we can then make sense out of. And Camelot has really tried to front and center you guys, and you've done a great job. So let's continue. I've got slide number 14. Is that the one you want now?
Yes, 14 is correct, Carrie.
Okay, this is again an amazing picture, I have to say.
Okay, so illustration number 14 is the famous Snake River Canyon UFO encounter. This was August 13th, 1947, in the Twin Falls, Idaho region. Now, there were three primary eyewitnesses, a father and his two sons who were in a boat on the river about 300 feet away from where he was located. All three eyewitnesses reported seeing a very strange-looking craft drop into the canyon at about 1,000 miles per hour, Carrie, and they reported it as looking like Abraham Lincoln's top hat, but take the top hat and chop off the top 2/3, leaving only the 1/3 on the bottom, then stretch it out to an elliptical shape, and that's what this craft looked like. There was an engine pod on either side of the craft that was, this flame, but he said it made no smoky contrail, and it was about 1,000 miles per hour as it was passing by. And it was his interpretation that it was using some type of atomic energy for a propulsion force, Carrie.
Okay. I'm simply trying to follow along here. So this, what are you saying is the what do you call it? What powers this?
Yeah, he said that there was an engine pod on either side of the craft, or either side of this top hat looking craft here, and then immediately after these engine pods, there was a very strange-looking flame, but he said that it didn't leave any smoke or contrail, and it was his assessment, according to the Twin Falls Times News report of August 15th, 1947, he said that this was some type of atomic energy this thing was using. This is his word, Gary.
Interesting. It sort of makes you think that perhaps this could have been one of ours, right? An experimental craft of some kind.
It seems like it, but again, being 1947, August 13th, this is even before the first flight of the F-86 Saberjet. But yet this thing is screaming through the canyon at 1,000 miles an hour, navigating all the twists and turns. At 1,000 miles an hour at that low altitude, that'd be nearly impossible for pilots of that time to navigate such close quarters. So I can't tell you who it is, but
okay.
It's there.
All right. we're going to have to keep going because, believe it or not, we're almost 10 minutes shy just of the end of the hour and going into the second hour. So we're going to have to kind of zip along because you've got a lot of photos, and I'm sure people want to hear your explanation for every single one.
Sure, that's fine, Carrie. So let's move on to number 15. Number 15 was seen by a farmer. This was on May of 1978. They don't give you a specific date, but this happened at night. He saw a brilliant flash of light, started walking out into his farm, and he saw this 90-foot diameter dish-shaped craft which landed in the field. He said that the top looked like this mushroom section. Underneath the top dome of the craft, there was these strange slotted thin windows that went around the circumference of the craft. He also said that there was a ramp that extended out from it. Then he decided he'd try to get within 25 feet of it, and when he walked up to it close, that ramp folded in, and then the thing took off at a slow rate of speed.
Okay, wonderful and great drawing again. We'll be right back with Michael Schratt after this message. Thank you. We'll be right back after this message with Michael Schratt. Thank you.
Radio, RadioSocials.com. We'll be right back. The finder of lost children and missing persons. Surveillance, civil and criminal investigations. I investigate. You know I am the chosen one. Investigate the power of good and do not dismiss the strength of the child. Yes, every Thursday afternoon on Revolution Radio, come join our very own Eye Investigatrix, Monique Lassonde, with her private Eye X-Files. Private Eye X-Files, every Thursday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Revolution Radio and RadioSwiss.com.
I realize it's very hard for you to take in, but it's your destiny to find the golden dial. And
will you fight? No! We will run! And we will live!
Shame on you! Hudson Valley Boomerang. Now we're seeing it in a craft that was seen in 1994 in England. So we're beginning to see this pattern, Carrie. And if you go to number 4, this is my illustration of what I determined that this thing looked like per the actual newspaper clipping, Carrie.
Okay, because I'm opening the live stream, I'm not able to look at this photo right this second, but I'm going to take your word for it.
Okay.
Go right ahead, and hopefully other people are being able to download out of my public folder the other photos as we go here so that they can follow along. Again, any assistance in posting these in a general page somewhere, just please do so and help us out.
Zippo lighter, and when he put the lighter near the gas tank of his motorcycle, Carrie, the whole motorcycle was magnetized, and it pulled this lighter out of this guy's hand and shot right to the gas tank.
Incredible. When was this exactly?
This was reported on the Burton Daily Mail, March 3rd, 1995.
Wow.
They don't give a date for the case, but it's a legitimate case. There were other cases similar to this reported as well. But in this case, I mean, there was physical evidence. The guy's motorcycle stalled out. The whole motorcycle was magnetized. Very interesting case. Very interesting.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out...
multiple white lights, and then this same pipes, tubes, and cylinder structure on the bottom of this thing. About 30 seconds later, this strange square pulled off to the side, and the guy who was on the motorcycle determined that it wasn't a square at all. He was looking at the bottom of a pyramid, and then this thing slowly went away, Carrie. But the problem is, it left his motorcycle completely disabled, and he had to walk this motorcycle 3 miles back to his house, a very long walk. Researchers who eventually caught up with him about 2 weeks later interviewed him about this. And one of these researchers just got this strange urge to pull out a metallic...
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so number 5 is reported in the Burton Daily Mail March 3rd, 1995. So 5 is the actual newspaper clipping on this sighting. Now, this gentleman was going to work early in the morning. He was on a motorcycle, and all of a sudden his motorcycle sputtered out, so he pulled over to the side of the road. He could not restart his motorcycle. The next thing he knew, Carrie, he was bathed in a high-intensity white light, and he looked up and saw this gigantic square hovering about 30 feet above him. And this is now on illustration number 6. You can see the illustration of the square. And on the bottom of the square, there was intensity white lights that were indented into the forward section of the vehicle. The aft of the craft, which was elliptical in shape, it had this strange notch cutout that you can see in this newspaper clipping here. But then, again, I want to stress this, Carrie, is we're beginning to see a pattern recognition. He said, according to the eyewitness, he said that the bottom had pipes, tubes, and cylinders sticking out of it. And this is his quote: the bottom was comprised of plumbing and stuff like car exhaust and silencers. Very interesting. A few minutes later, this thing departed to the east out of his field of view. So, number 1, we have the same pipes, tubes, and cylinders reported in the